Hello and welcome. This is Alchemist X, and we have a brand new dragon character. So Enanji, the water dragon, finally, there's a water elemented dragon, has arrived. She is a slash unit primarily, but she's got a lot of versatility in her kit. She's got damage boosting, debuffing on enemies. She's got status nullifying on enemies. She's really good about nullifying reaction blocks. You get to do your reactions anyway. Her dragon reaction is just a preemptive counter, which is always good. Anybody with preemptive counter, that's always a glowing endorsement. So overall, in general, you can't go wrong with a dragon. But as far as that goes, she is just very strong just on the foundation of her kit. So I think most people would benefit from having her. It's honestly hard to go wrong. She would either in and of herself be a boost to your water element, or if you already have a very established water team, and especially if they are slash units and doubly so ones that have skills that can crit, then she is even, her pull value just goes through the roof. One unit in particular that I'm thinking of is Yaris, because she checked all the boxes of water slash skills that can crit, especially multi-hit with crit. Overall, the synergy there is very, very good. So if Yaris is somebody who got maxed out, you use her to fight bosses, that certainly brings the value of Enanji up to even higher heights. But aside from all that, she's just got some general utility. She can reduce the amount of damage that you take from different ranges. So she's got a close range option and a long range option. So it depends on which one you need at the time. They're separate skills, so just be mindful of that. She can shut down the enemy's abilities to do status effects. So overall, there's definitely a lot to be had from her kit, and I think you could get a lot of value out of her. As far as her memento goes, I would classify it in the range of really, really nice to have, but don't feel like you need to pull for it if just getting the unit is a big enough stretch on your gems as it is. The max limit break bonus is going to be crit rate, and the vision ability is nice in that it'll give you some more defensive utility with like reaction block resistance and status resistance that she'll cast in range of herself when the battle starts. Definitely nice. And then the VCR has a few good stats, a little bit of a damage boost, and more enemy debuffing on the ability for the gear. But don't feel like her kit is incomplete without the memento if you have to skip it. Definitely good to have, but things like buff duration, debuff duration, extra skill uses, snowballs, charge ups, those are the things that I always, if I'm going to say they need their memento, that's what I tend to look for. So yeah, overall, I mean, this is the first time that, so I started playing right when Needhog came out, but I wasn't able to cover him quite the same way because he was already released once I started playing, and once I got a little bit of momentum in covering the game, he was already not the newest unit. So this is the first time where a new dragon came out, and I was actually ready for it. So some things to keep in mind before we move on to the banners is that 7 is going to be the final chapter. It was about 4 months ago that it was like a little bit before Valentine's Day that the previous chapter opened, and then about 1 month gap in between part 1 and part 2, and we definitely saw that same gap in the case of this current chapter 6. So with that, as long as no collaborations or holidays or anything like that get in the way, I would assume that we're going to see chapter 7 about 3 months from now. I can't guarantee that. That's just based on the patterns that I've seen so far since I started playing JP. If any of you have more experience in that matter than me, please in the comments let me know if there were any irregularities in the schedule between dragon chapters, because I would love to know. But overall, that is about all I have got to say about Enanji. Trying out the mercenary, I've thought that her kit was very clearly amazing. It's to be expected. Dragons are certainly the epitome of the kind of power creep that exists in the game. So Also, just in the sake of transparency, I was not supposed to use regular Ignacio on this map. It was supposed to be Isai. I just made that mistake, but you can only summon a mercenary once per day, so I just rolled with that punch, and luckily he wasn't completely useless in the fight, so that is that. Okay, now let's move on to the banners. And here we are at the banners. So this is a very straightforward week. Enanji is memento. Also Nidhogg is rerunning. There's some pickup banners, and that is pretty much it. It's a Taga week. So it tends to be an either if one of the things that you want is up, or if you want to try to get some dragon coins. Otherwise, skip. And that's pretty much it. So I already talked about Enanji. Definitely good, strong unit. Unfortunately, you have to do this style of banner if you want to get her. And that's why I recommend having at least 50k gems to do it, because that way you could do with Tagatame, assuming that you never get a free pull. It would cost you 50k gems. Get another 25 shards from the event, and then you transmute her, and then you can use the dragon coins you get to help recoup the 150 shard loss from that, and that is that. Basically same thing for Nidhogg if you have been waiting for his rerun. And then they share a memento banner, so hopefully you get both of them if you decide to go that route. And then there are the pickup banners. So my opinion on these banners has really soured, and I realize that it's going to be a personal bias because I have had just a horrible experience, but I can't be the only person that has. So it's definitely worth talking about. Not just because saying, hey, you might have a horrible experience, because we already knew that. Nothing is guaranteed, so sometimes, or maybe if you're me, a lot of times, nothing will happen. But that is going to be mitigated by the coins that you can get. However, there is a catch to that, because as you move forward in time and you raise the units that you have that you can buy with the coin, specifically the dragon chapter coins, because that's a much smaller pool. Like with the previous week's banner, it was a little bit easier to justify getting more and more of the coins just because it was any limited unit that you owned. So I ended up getting tons of Dark Anna Rose V2, and I got some of Louis, and of course Andex, always Andex. But in this case, it's much more limited. So for me, for example, the cheapest soul shard price currently for all of the units that I own in the dragon shop is 12 per shard, and that's starting to get up there. And so that's meaning that the value of the coins for me has been steadily decreasing as time goes forward, because if you don't pull any new units that qualify to buy with the coins, then that just means that the value of the coins just steadily declines until it's just not worth it anymore. And I crossed over that boundary. I think that I probably crossed over it a little while ago and kept going anyway in hopes of trying to get something new, and that did not work out. So do not recommend. So am I saying that nobody should do these banners? No, I'm not. You could be in a position where you spend the 2,500 gems, you get 500 gems back, even if the pull is totally garbage, that might get you somebody's gate 5, somebody's gate 2, somebody's gate 6 or 7. Depending on where you are shards wise, and depending on how many shards you can buy with the coins you get. But it's just subject to diminishing returns, assuming that you aren't pulling new units. So that's generally my thinking on that. So for me, I'm going to stay away from pickup banners pretty much for the foreseeable future, unless a big shakeup happens of some kind. My luck has been so bad. Just to put this into perspective, the standard rate of pulling a featured unit is 2%. In the month of June, for all of the pickup banners available, I did a total of 20 pulls across different banners and pulled a featured unit once out of those. So that's 1 out of 200. So that's about 4 times worse than the average. So the amount of luck that I would need to have in order to just break even with the average is already extraordinary. And I don't think that's going to happen. So that, combined with the fact that the coins have not that much value to me, just makes the pickup banner structure just not worthwhile for me. So definitely pay a visit to the shop. It's going to be around for the rest of the month, so something might change. The coins might get some more value. It's around for this and next week, but keep in mind that once Tagatame is gone, the value goes down. So yeah, that is about it. So for me, it's definitely a skip week, but if you are pulling on Enanji, then I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you all next time.